You know, there are several concerns in a patient, female patient, who is suffering from the Wilson's disease, starting from the menstruation and then the marriage also, conception, pregnancies, recurrent abortions, and when you treat them, the issue of the teratogenicity secondary to the drugs, breastfeeding, and finally genetic counseling also. I'll start with this study. I like this study because this is the study which has the treated as well as the untreated patients also, and it gives some answers to the general problem that you see in these patients. Wilson's disease patient 341, it is a retrospective study, female under 2, 74 in the reproductive age, 16 women conceived at least once on 59 occasions and 7 didn't. Spontaneous abortions were seen 24, that comes to the figure of the 41%, much higher. In that area, the abortion in general population was to the tune of the 5%, so 8 times. And 3 stillbirths, and around 50% had the successful pregnancies and deliveries in 12 mothers. And none of the neurological signs or symptoms worsened during the pregnancy, means the pregnancy did not affect the disease. And 6 patients on the treatment for the several years, and they were receiving the penicillamine and the zinc sulfate in the lower doses also during the pregnancy, and there was no teratogenicity. So what is the message that you can take from this study is that the pregnancy does not seem to have adverse effect on the clinical course of the Wilson's disease, and the vice versa to the some extent is also true. As far as the fertility is concerned, the major problems that is documented and reported is the amenorrhea, oligomenorrhea, irregular menses, and the multiple miscarriages. So it is nothing like that it is related to the Wilson's disease or its pathogenesis or something like that. It is the Wilson's disease that leads to the liver dysfunctions, may be compensated or later may be the decompensated, that may be responsible for all these manifestations. And it has been postulated that the diffusion of the non-ceruloplasmin bound copper from the plasma into the tissue is a process that may affect the ovarian follicular aromatase activity. That is for the important for the menstruation, and maybe basically causing the problem for the implantation and carrying on the pregnancy. So that might be directly related to the free copper deposition there. The spontaneous abortions, recurrent spontaneous abortion, I've just shown in this figure where it is 8 times than the normal population, and they have demonstrated that it is more in the untreated group. So, and one of the studies have demonstrated that there is an increased copper deposition in the uterus, and that is preventing the implantation of the fetus. So that explains also why this is more in untreated patient than in the treated one. As far as the teratogenicity of the penicillamine in these patients is concerned, it is teratogenic in the laboratory animals and in the patient treated for the other conditions, like that you use this drug for the rheumatoid arthritis also and the cystinuria also. And the common side effect or the adverse effect that has been reported, the cutis laxa-like syndrome, because it affects the synthesis of the collagen also, micrognathia, low set ears, hyperflexibility of the joints, fragile veins, varicosity, and impaired wound healing. That is important. Because there is an impaired wound healing, that is recommended that the dose of the penicillamine in the last trimester should be half, because after the delivery there could be the healing problems. And high proportion of the unbound copper which is chelated by the penicillamine and excreted, thus effectively reducing the penicillamine toxicity also. Because this kind of the things that you can see over in the pregnancy, not in the other disorder, and that can reduces the level as well as the toxicity of the penicillamine that has been postulated. Breastfeeding is contraindicated The woman taking the D-penicillamine should not breastfeed. Drug is excreted in the breast milk and might harm the infant. And little is known about the safety of the trantine and the zinc. So all the three drugs, they say they should not be given during the breastfeeding. Means the breastfeeding should not be given. I don't know much about the zinc, but there is no data. So there are, just want to give you some glimpse of the total number of the pregnancy in these patients. So one is from the Wilson's Disease Center, 43 women, 71 pregnancy, 69 normal neonates, meaning normal deliveries. Only there were the 2 therapeutic abortions. In case reports, in 32 women, 41 pregnancy, 38 normal, 1 had the monocytosis, 1 cleft lip and palate, and 2 transient cutis laxa. And another one, 35 pregnancies, 35 women, 40 pregnancies, and 36 normal deliveries, 1 premature, 2 therapeutic abortion, and 1 miscarriage. If you see that there is nothing much that you can say that this particular abnormality or there is a teratogenic effect also, and the same data is also with the trantine also. And you know that these 3 drugs that we are using, and what we can see, just concentrate on the right side of the column. So as far as the effectiveness is concerned, there is no doubt. They might be teratogenic, particularly this penicillamine, trantine in the animals, but there is no data as far as in human being is concerned that it is a teratogenic. Last. So here are the EASL as well as the AASLD guidelines, exactly the same words, and they are: treatment for the Wilson's disease should be continued during the pregnancy. That is very important statement. But dosage reduction is advisable for D-pen and the trantine, particularly in the last trimester. And they are quite strong recommendations. Here you can see the I want to conclude. The mothers and the infants tolerate pregnancy safely, providing that the compliance with the prescribed regimen is maintained. Means there should not be discontinuation of these drugs. Otherwise, the interruption of the therapy carries a high risk of the hemolytic episode and the hepatic insufficiency and the fatality for the mother as well. That is something documented. And the dose I have already told you. And the teratogenic effect of either penicillamine or trantine are not supported by the data in the literature. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, outcome of the pregnancy in women with the Wilson's disease is determined by the compliance with the prescribed regimen or deviation from it. If you are compliant, then it's no problem, rather than the choice of the medication. Thank you very much.
Dr. Dhiman, from your presentation, it appears that only problem is actually the care which we have to take, that the reduction in the dosage of D-penicillin or trantine. Otherwise, it is okay.
Yes,
and
okay.
No breastfeeding, of course.
No breastfeeding.
These are the 2 messages from your actually
Absolutely.
presentation.
And person should be compliant. It should not be like that somebody said why you are taking the medicine and the patient stops taking medicine. I think reinforcement to the patient also, the safety of drug taking must be emphasized.
Just contrary to that statement, because what you showed us the first publication, out of all the publications, all the patients went on feeding their children. We didn't have any major issues with the children at all. So it was a retrospective view, but we didn't have any issues with that. So whether D-penicillamine really needs to be reduced is also a question. We had also proposed that unlike other autoimmune disorders where D-penicillamine is utilized and having a lot of side effects, probably Wilson disease might be having some type of a protective mechanism. What is that? We don't know. Where D-penicillamine has not caused those type of side effects, what we've seen in rheumatoid arthritis or some other type of autoimmune disease.
But most of the patients, what happened, were only on 250 to 500 mg of penicillamine, though I must admit. Second, I want to ask you, Prof, what is the recommendation by this ESL and ASLD regarding breastfeeding? What you told is from literature. What does the body recommend, that whether we should give or we should not give?
ASLD and the EASL, they are silent on it.
Yeah, because I also
That is the one.
Because of that, we have allowed the patients that yes, you can have it, and we didn't find any.
Sir, I think it is the most important issue. Breastfeeding with the penicillamine and all those things. Particularly if the drug is secreted into the breast. If you do not have any evidence-based medicine that it is safe, at least I can now say in the public that it is safe.
Yeah, that's the point here, means.
The ESL mentions that chelators are not recommended when breastfeeding is on.
Yes.
But they also give example. They also give references where to say that
Yes,
breastfeeding
yes.
has been continued without any problem. So the recommendation of the ESL in the thing is not to breastfeed, but it's open because there are enough reports to say there is no problem. They don't have any specific thing to say about zinc. They don't even talk about zinc and
So
breastfeeding.
that is
I think tomorrow
that
we
is
are going
urgent.
to have the consensus meeting
Think is
also.
more information.
We can debate on this
Yeah.
point also and
I
we
think-
can come out some kind of the recommendations.
Right.
Because you said that in the Neem hands, they are breastfeeding and maybe the Harshad who is having the more than 300 plus patients also. I don't know pregnancies how many, whether you stop breastfeed. So in general consensus in Indian patient is that we can continue and since they have not seen anything, so we can take a decision.
Thank you.